Hello everyone, and thank you for clicking on my Q&A video for doing ASMR for 1 year here on YouTube. I first want to say, before we get into questions, I want to tell each and every one of you a very big thank you. I really can't express my gratitude enough to each and every one of you. It really does mean a lot that so many of you enjoy my work and my art and my silly stories, and every time I think about it, it makes me happy. So I really just want to say thank you so much. This whole thing started as something that I could do for fun, and I found enjoyable by incorporating things that I like, which are writing and drawing and voicing. And to know that so many of you enjoy it too really means a lot to me. So thank you so much. So that's enough mushy stuff for now. These questions, there were quite a bit, and to avoid duplicates, I went through all of them and I made a list. So I apologize if there are any that I skipped over or accidentally missed. I know a couple of you were a little funny, so thank you for your little jokes. They are always appreciated here, so please, by all means, keep up the jokes and puns. But let's go ahead and get into some questions. Question number 1 is, when you start making a video, which of the 3 art, sounds, and story do you tend to start with? So I can't really say for certain that I have just one way of the process. There's been times where a sound has inspired a character and story. There's been times where I've drawn a character which inspired a story. It really just depends on my inspiration at the moment. I will say that lately I have been writing first and then doing the art and the recording last. But that's not always the case. As some of my patrons know, I sometimes do random sounds and it will inspire a character. So I don't really have a for sure process. It just depends. Question number 2 is, would you ever create an art tag for fan art? So I've always been curious about that. I wasn't sure how a fan art tag worked exactly. Do you just kind of claim it as your own? Like, you're just like, hey, this is my fan art tag now. I didn't know if there was a thing you had to do or if you just literally took the hashtag. But as of now, I am most active on my Twitter. I do have Instagram, but I don't really like Instagram that much. It's not my cup of tea. So if you want to draw for me, please tag me on Twitter. I very, very much look forward to seeing it. I've already gotten some amazing art from some of you, and art is one of those things that is in my opinion, the best gift that you can give someone. And it always makes me so happy when someone draws for me. So please, by all means, always feel welcome to draw any of my characters or my persona character, anything that sounds fun to you. So please go at it. And feel free to tag me on Twitter, and I will be sure to see it. Question number 3 is, do you drink tea, and what is the best biscuit to dunk? So, yes, I do drink tea. My favorites are green tea and Earl Grey. Now, as for a biscuit, when I think of a biscuit, I am from the South, and the only type of biscuit that comes into my head is the type that you smother in gravy. I know you probably mean like a cookie or something, right? Which, there's some times where I do put like I dip a cookie in my tea or coffee. As for what type, it just depends. I like all cookies, or in this case, biscuits. Okay, question number 4. What has been your favorite character to draw and voice? This one, or at least the drawing part, is hard for me because I really like all the characters that I've drawn. The first thing that came to mind was the octopus girl. I really enjoyed drawing that one because I find drawing tentacles to be a lot of fun, and I think they turned out pretty good in that drawing. Obviously, it can be better, but I had a lot of fun drawing the tentacles in that one. As for my favorite character to voice, I would have to say it was my Hex Maniac. I could be wrong in this, but I'm pretty sure Hex Maniac doesn't have an official voice actress. Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe there's something out there where she does, but nonetheless, I love the idea of giving a voice to side characters or a character that normally doesn't have a voice. So, Pokemon games, for example, there's a lot of characters that they don't have voice acting. And I had a very specific, I guess, image in my mind of how I thought Hex Maniac would sound. And I had so much fun doing that voice. It was... Now I will say, it hurts my voice a little because it's very cackly and weird, but it is so fun. It's worth the cups of tea that I have to drink after just because I enjoy it so much. The next question is, when was my earliest showing on the internet? Well, I'm probably exposing myself a little bit here, but I am a old MySpace kid for sure. Really, I was on the internet even before then, playing little flash games and things like that. But I've been on the internet for more of my life than I haven't been on the internet, so a long, long time. I can't even tell you really how long. The next question is, have I ever flown on a plane? Yes, I have. I've flown a couple times. I do not live in my home state anymore, so I've flown a few times to visit family, and I do not like flying at all. It's scary. Okay, next question. I lost count of what number, so sorry. Next question is, why is your ASMR only suitable for work or SFW? So, as my patrons know, I am a big enjoyer of NSFW content. I used to draw a lot of NSFW content, and I still do. I still very much enjoy drawing it, but just not as commissions or as a job like how I used to. But I still like it. As for voicing NSFW, I don't really have any plans to, and I don't really have a need to, I guess. I don't have anything against people who do, obviously. I like it. I like stuff like that. My patrons are aware of my, shall I say, collection of certain artworks and things. But as far as voicing it, I don't have any interest in it. I like drawing it, and I like consuming it, but I don't like voicing it myself. Okay, next question. Are you going to do anything besides ASMR? Well, I'm sure that, at some point, there will come a time where maybe I don't do this anymore. I mean, I don't have any plans on quitting anytime soon, because I'm having a lot of fun. But there's always an end to everything eventually, right? I've always had two, I guess you could say, goals or little, just, dreams, I guess, that I would like to do. And they are, number one, I always thought it would be fun to make some sort of video game. Now, I don't mean some crazy graphic game or anything like that. I mean, kind of like, a dating sim game with my art, or maybe like a little 8-bit game or some flash game or something, just something where I could utilize my art and maybe my voice. I always thought that sounded like a lot of fun. So I'd really like to look into that at some point. And the second one is I have always wanted to make prints of my art and sell them at an anime convention. Even ever since I was young, I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to make my own merchandise, be it prints, keychains, shirts, just, things like that, and go to conventions and sell it and meet people. It just sounds like so much fun to me, and that's definitely something I want to experience at least once in my life. Okay, next question. What do you consider to be your greatest strength in drawing, and what would you like to improve on? So, well, it's not really hard for me to say what I need to improve on. There's a lot of things I need to improve on. The biggest one being anatomy. I'm always striving to improve that. I always want to try to get better with that, especially when it comes to hands and trying different poses and things like that. Another thing is backgrounds and scenery. I told myself this year that in 2024 that I would like to try and incorporate more scenery and backgrounds in my art. So those are two big ones I think I need to improve on. As for my greatest strength, I think I can say I'm pretty confident in always making sure that I can draw something cute. If you want me to draw something cute, I know I can definitely do that. So, I would say my greatest strength is having a cutesy, ooh art style. Okay, next question. If you could choose one artist to teach you everything they know, who would you choose and why? Alright, so we're gonna go back to the NSFW question from before. If I could have one artist teach me everything they know, it would be my, well, I'm gonna keep this vague. It's Shindo L. For those who know, you know. Please don't look it up if you are not of a certain age. And the reason why is because I really love his work. I have all his work in, like an actual physical copy of, not just reading it online. I have physical copies of it because I just love his work so much. And I just love how he draws females, faces, bodies, everything. I just love it. And if I could spend a day with him to learn how he draws, that would be amazing. Okay. Next question is, if I had to pick one anime to watch and one game to play for the rest of my life, what would they be? Well, as much as I want my one anime to be the original 2003 Fullmetal Alchemist, considering I'm going to be watching it for the rest of my life, I feel like the smart answer is One Piece, because it's so long, and if I ever had to rewatch it, I don't think I'd get too bored. As for the one game to play, that one's an obvious one. World of Warcraft. I mean, I pretty much mainly play that now. I don't have a lot of time to play a lot of games as much as I want, I'm hoping to change that sometime soon, but WoW has always been my number one game, and probably always will be to some extent. So, World of Warcraft. Okay, next question is... Excuse the wall pops. I don't know. My walls have been popping a lot lately. Advice on starting a new channel. My biggest advice on starting a YouTube channel is, really, I think you just need to have fun. This is just from my perspective, but I think it's important to enjoy yourself and to like what you're making, because if you don't, then I think you're going to find yourself getting easily burnt out, stressed, or maybe bored. Now, that's not to say that there's not people that don't run their channel like more business-like, I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it. It really just depends on what your end game is, right? But for me, I think it's important to always have fun in making the content that you do. Next question, when will you show us your Mimikyu tattoo? I know, I keep talking about my Mimikyu tattoo, and don't worry, I will post a picture one day. To be honest, sometimes I forget the tattoos that I have. I'm sure anyone else out there that has tattoos, you can kind of relate in a way to where you have them and you just don't really think about them, like you just kind of forget, or it's just a part of you, so you don't think about it. But don't worry, I will post a picture of my tattoo one day, I promise. Okay, what goals, if any, do you have for your writing? And how does your script writing compare to a year ago? So, when I think back to my scripts and stories from a year ago, I would say that they've definitely gotten more, I guess extensive would be a better word. When I first started, I was a little shy and nervous, so I didn't really put a whole lot of thought into the story. I guess I was just getting comfortable. But now that I'm more used to it and I'm more comfortable doing it, I try to think of a way to, make a world or make a little storyline that can span across a couple of audios. So I would say that how extensive they are has definitely changed. And let's see, do I have any goals for my writing? Of course, I always want to try to get better. I always want to try to get better at my writing. It's kind of hard for me to know if I have gotten better. It's hard to be, I guess, objective with yourself sometimes, because you're your own worst critic. So if I'm thinking about myself, I'm always gonna think, well, I can always do better, right? I'd like to think they've gotten better, or at least more detailed, but it's hard for me to say. But I always want to try to do my best. I always want to try to do better than what I did the day before, Let's see, my favorite audio to record. I wonder, let's see, were they asking what my favorite audio to record is, or my favorite type of audio? Well, I'm gonna say, my favorite type of audio. If I had to say what my favorite type of audio is, I personally really like the kind of creepy, dark stuff. I know I haven't done too many of that, mainly because I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, especially when it's involving ASMR. But I've mentioned this to my patrons a few times, but when it comes to stories and just media that I consume, I really enjoy darker, creepier stuff. So occasionally I like to make stories that are like that, and I know it's not for everyone, but I just do what I want, so there's gonna be a couple of weird, creepy, dark stories that I plan on doing this year. But those are my favorite types. But obviously, I still like the cute and the wholesome, personal attention, sleepy, I like those too. Let's see, will pack openings ever return? So, I always love to open cards. I'm never opposed to opening cards, but there are two little things about that. Number one, a lot of cards, or at least the cards that I like, are very expensive. And so I don't always have a means to buy them. And another thing is, so I don't have a problem setting up my camera and recording. That's not the issue. The issue lies in that my computer at the moment is very, very shitty. And so when I'm trying to take that large video file over, editing and processing that thing can be a nightmare. And it's a whole thing. I'm not opposed to it, and I do plan on doing them. I actually have a couple of ideas that I would like to do with cards and like normal videos in general. And so I'm hoping that when I get my new computer that I can do more of those. But yes, I do plan on doing more pack openings. The next question is, since starting your channel, have you accomplished any goals you set out to achieve, and have any changed? So when I first started my channel, I didn't really have any sort of goal in mind. I originally was just gonna post like little speed paint art videos. I didn't really have like a goal or anything. I just kind of wanted to show art, really. That's why my name's Alichu Art, and I never bothered to change it to ASMR because to me the whole thing is art, so I don't really feel a need to change the art part of it because, I mean, it is art, like the writing, the drawing, and all that. So I think it's still pretty fitting. But as for do I have any goals that have changed? I mean, I really want to see just how far I can go with all of this. It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying myself, and I guess my goal is just to see, how far I can take this whole thing. It's gonna be a fun ride, so I really enjoyed myself so far, and I look forward to seeing where it can potentially go from here. Obviously, with the help of all of you, as I said, thank you so much. Okay. Next question. How did you start off drawing? And they said, how long did it take for you to get amazing? Which is very sweet of you. I appreciate that. And do I have any advice for a beginner artist? So, I've drawn ever since I was very young. I've always had an interest in art. Apologies if you heard that. I have no idea what that was outside. But yeah, I've always drawn ever since I was young. As for, I don't think I'm that amazing, but I do appreciate that you think I am. As for getting to a certain skill level, it really just takes, it takes practice, and it helps if you like what you're doing. So, yeah, it just takes practice and time, and I think, the more you do it, the more you'll see, the better you'll get. It just takes time, like everything else. And any advice for a beginner artist? So when I think back to my younger self, I think the biggest piece of advice I can give is this. Do not let social media and what others draw and what others do bring you down or make you feel like what you do isn't good enough. I think it's very easy to compare yourself, especially now with everyone being online and sharing stuff. But it's important to remember that everybody has a different skill level. Just because that person's amazing at drawing, water or scenery, for example, It doesn't mean that they know how to draw people or characters like you may know how to. Everyone's different. And that's what's so great about art, is that everyone's unique and everyone's different in their own way. So while it is difficult, just try not to compare yourself or feel like you're not good enough, because there's only one you. And that's the best advice I can give. Alright, the next question is, when can we expect you to upload audios? As in I tried to simplify this one. Apologies if this isn't what you meant, but as in a certain time or schedule of when I will upload my videos. So, I have been trying my best to get back into posting 2 videos a week here on YouTube. There was a time where I was only doing 1 because the art and stuff was just taking me a long time, and I didn't want to rush anything. I never want anything to feel rushed. There's also times where my day job kind of makes things a little, different. So I want to try my best to do 2 videos a week now. I can't always say for certain what days they are going to be, because as a retail worker, I don't have like a set schedule. There's some days I'll work on Monday, some days I'll work on Thursday. I don't really have a set day schedule. And it's also at different times. I might work the morning one day, I might work the evening, I might work the night, it just depends. So what I will say is that I'm going to try my best to have 2 YouTube videos a week. Maybe not always. There might still just be 1, but I'll try for 2. As for the days, I can't say for certain. Apologies. Maybe one day in the future I can be a little more, schedulized. The only thing that is for certain right now is that every Friday I always make sure to have a Patreon video. Every Friday I always make sure to have that. As for my YouTube, I'm gonna try to do 2. Okay, next question is, what is your favorite animal? Well, it's definitely a cat. I love cats. Always have, always will. Next question, favorite part of the Lord of the Rings movies and why? This is a really hard question because there's so many parts of the movies that I love. My first thought with this question is just the beginning scene of the Fellowship of the Ring, because I absolutely love the Shire and the Hobbits and everything to do with that. All of it. The aesthetic of it, the vibe of it, the history of it, just all of it. I love it. And it gives me these warm, comfy vibes, the music that plays, the cute little hobbits, just everything. I love the opening scene of the first movie. I also love the part in I believe it was the Two Towers, when Gimli was like, I need you to toss me. Because he's so short and he can't make the jump and he has to get tossed. I love that part. It's so funny. And I mean, Gimli and just him and himself is obviously one of the best characters. My favorite character will always be Frodo, because I just love Frodo. I love him in the books. I love him in the movie. I know some people don't like him, but you're wrong and I don't care. I love Frodo. But aside from Frodo, Gimli is the best character. I love the elephant scene where Legolas is on the elephant and they have like the little competition of who's killing the most. I don't know. I can't really pick a favorite scenes. The whole thing is amazing to me. I love all the movies. How dare you ask me that question? Okay. Next question is, as an ASMR creator, how do you keep your mentality in shape while also keeping a decent schedule? Well, who do you think has a good mentality here. I'm just kidding. So, I think this goes back to what I said earlier, which is I think you always need to focus on enjoying yourself and having fun, because if you're not, then I think it's going to be very easy to get stressed out and burnt out. And I don't know. Again, it really depends on how you want to view your channel. If you want to view it more in a way of like, okay, I just want to, like some people maybe just want to make money. Some people, this might be like their passion project. Some people are like me and they're just having fun. It really just depends on what your goal is. And that should be how you view your channel. But I think to some degree, you should always make sure that you're enjoying yourself, because if you're having fun and you're liking what you're doing, I think you will find it easier to stay in a good headspace and not feel so stressed out or, overwhelmed. I hope that helps in some way, and I wish you all the best in your ASMR journey. So, yeah, I hope you have fun, and I hope that helped a little bit. My favorite monster girl type. Oh, this is a tough one. I like a lot, and this might be kind of a boring answer to some, but I personally really love just like a demon girl, or a girl that has some sort of horns and tail. I don't know. I love the aesthetic of a demon girl. It's always been, I just love it, like a succubus or something like that. Again, it might be kind of a basic answer, but hey, I'm just being honest. Okay, what kind of drawing tools do you use and what software? So, right now I am using a 16-inch, is it Cintiq Wacom tablet. It is a display tablet, so it is one of the screens that you draw on. It is quite pricey. It is definitely an investment. It's something that I saved up for quite a while. I did not start off with this type of tablet. When I first started digital art, I got the cheapest, most basic tablet you could ever get, and I slowly moved my way up. So that is what I'm using right now. Okay, next question. What type of music do you listen to? Well, I talk about music a lot on my Patreon, and I like a lot of music. I like all different types, but if I had to say like a specific genre or type, I love emo music. I love emo music. I love nu metal. I love just screamo music, rock music, punk music, just that type of vibe, I guess. My favorite band is Bring Me the Horizon, but I like bands like Static X, Korn, Slipknot, let's see, but I also like things like, Blink 182, let's see, I know they're kind of old, but I really like Silverstein, Hawthorne Heights, System of a Down, that type of music, if you kind of catch my drift. Okay, next question. I know you write your own scripts, but would you ever consider branching out and seeing other ideas? Or maybe if someone wrote something specifically for you? So I have gotten asked quite a bit if I would read a script or just things like that, and I don't want to say that I'll never do it sometime in the future, but right now a lot of the fun of the whole process for me comes from the writing. So I just feel like a little bit of a disconnect if I'm not the one writing it, you know? Not to say that I think it's wrong if you don't write it. Obviously, you do whatever you want, but for me, the fun of it is kind of the writing. So I feel like I might lose out on some of my enjoyment if I don't do it myself. As of right now, the most that I'm doing is my patrons will recommend me a character or like a little idea, but I have full control over how it gets written, how the character looks. You know, it's still my thing. So that's kind of the most that I'm willing to go, is having a recommendation, I guess. Next question is that your natural voice in your videos? So, well, like how I'm talking right now, other than just being, you know, kind of whispery, soft-spoken, this is my natural voice. This is how I talk. I have a lot of just rambles and stuff on Patreon too, where I'm just kind of talking. But overall, I would say this is my natural voice. With my characters, I am voice acting in that. I am trying to portray a certain character personality, so I do change my acting depending on the personality. So with a character, you know, I'm acting, but like right now, this is just how I talk. My favorite movie, so all of the Lord of the Rings movies, and I have a couple. American Psycho, I really enjoy, even though the book, I really like the book a lot more. Let's see, I also really like, oh, I love John Wick. The John Wick movies are amazing. Oh man, now that I'm on the spot, I'm having a hard time thinking of all my favorite movies. Oh, The Aviator, I really like that movie. Fight Club's a good movie. Oh. I'm gonna be thinking about this now. When I have a favorite of something, I can't shut up about it, and now that I'm being asked, I can't think about it. Anyway, for now, let's just say Lord of the Rings and American Psycho. Okay, next question. Do most of your videos take place in the same universe? So, when I connect my videos, I try to make little hints to signify that they are in the same world or universe. I don't want to say all of my videos are in the same universe, but when they are connected, I like to try to make little references. I don't ever like to do, I don't want to say ever, but I don't like to do necessarily part twos. What I like to do is I like to make little hints, or like I just said, references to where they can all be enjoyed together or separately. So that's kind of how I like to write. But as far as all of them, no, they don't all share the same universe, only some. And I have a little playlist on my channel where I think I called it the Ali Chu verse. So all of those videos are in some way connected. So if you ever want to know like the ones that would kind of be in the same universe, you can check out that playlist. Now, not all of them are connected, but you know, those are the ones that have connections to others. Okay, we're coming up on the last couple questions. This has been a lot of fun though, and I hope that it's been enjoyable for you too. And if you've made it this far, thank you. What else do you enjoy doing besides ASMR? Well, I know it's obvious I like to draw and write, but aside from that, I'm a very big reader. I have a lot of books. I love collecting and reading a lot, so that's a big hobby of mine. I also like to play. Apologies for that sound. My desk is a mess right now. I also really like to play World of Warcraft. I watch anime, and I also like to exercise. I don't know. That's just, I've always loved to do that, but recently I've tried to be a little more serious about it. I want to try to gain a little muscle, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying my best. We'll see how it goes. But other than ASMR, that's what I like to do. The most frustrating part of making my videos. Well, I think this is probably the same for a lot of ASMR artists out there, which is just the interruptions. Living in an apartment where there's noisy neighbors and just traffic, just things like that. It's really, really annoying to deal with. And like even right now, you could probably hear a plane going by or a car, but those are just things that you can't always avoid. And now that I've been doing it a while, I've learned that, I don't have any control over it. I can try to lessen it in like Audacity and stuff, but which is my editing program, but life just happens. It is what it is. But that's definitely the most frustrating part, is just the interruptions. Why did I start doing ASMR, and do I have any inspirations? So, I have liked ASMR for a few years now. Funny enough, the ASMR content that I consume is nothing like what I make. I really like gaming ASMR, so watching people play games. I really like the sound of keyboards or just controllers and things, and the ambient sounds of the game. As for inspirations, so there was a couple of VTubers that did ASMR roleplays, like kind of how I do, and that's kind of what made me, or gave me the inspiration to just try it myself. I always wanted to, but I was always too nervous and shy. But after I kept listening to some of these VTubers, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to do it. I'm just gonna do it. And maybe it could be a fun way for me to do all the things that I love. And I'm very thankful that it was an outlet for that. So, okay. Last question. Do you speak any other languages? So, I don't want to say I speak it fluently at all. I cannot. I wouldn't be able to hold like a very intense conversation, but I do know a little Japanese. I did take Japanese in school, so I do know a little Japanese. Alright, well, like I said, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much. And thank you all for all of your questions, and I hope that you enjoyed this little Q&A. And here's hoping to another year of ASMR roleplays. I hope you all have a very good night, and I will see you all in my next roleplay. Bye for now.